Welcome to Makers International, a podcast of makers, connecting with makers from all around the world. Here's your hosts, Jamie Page, Chris Cute, and now, Richard Morley.
Hello. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is, whatever you're listening, and all that good spiel. Today on the podcast, we're going to be answering some Q's with Andy Pugh. But before we do that, we're going to have a review as we do every week, or almost every week, not like me. We've got Mr. Chris Cute.
How you doing?
We have the Dales from the Maple Tree Studios.
Hello.
And we have the Q with Andy Pugh.
Good evening. Good morning, wherever you are.
And we have me.
How are you, Mr. Page, for going out loud? Tell us how you are.
I'm very well. Just a quick reminder that today's podcast is brought to you in part by Yorkshire Grit, the Woodturners Abrasive Paste, our good friend Chad over at Mancrafting, the man who makes all our awesome powder-coated Yeti mugs, and Pan from Highland Boxes, who makes our awesome and amazing and incredible hybrid blanks. And of course, Steve Nealon from Harnell Media, who sorts out and helps. I'm going to say helps. He takes all the credit for the website. Damn you, Steve. To link to all our sponsors are in the description and can be found over our webpage, is makersinternationalpodcast.com/sponsors. Regarding to our sponsors, later on in the podcast, we're actually going to do a bit of a giveaway. All of our sponsors have donated something to us that we can donate to you. It's going to be like a gift package. So it's going to be one winner for personating to the chat. So we'll have a question for you. First person to come up with the answer wins the lot. You have a chance to win a podcast tumbler from Mancrafting, a tub of Yorkshire Grit Original and Microfine, and some blanks from Pan from Highland Boxes.
And we have Andy on the show today, so he can't win.
Yeah.
Got it.
Again.
Pew.
Again. So, with that, Chris, do we have any questions for Mr. Pugh?
Oh boy, do we have questions
for Mr. Pugh?
Do we have questions for Mr. But we have one. Well, let me put it this way: we have a lot of fun, idiotic questions for Andy tonight, which I got to tell you, we appreciate it because if there's one thing we're good at, it's idiocy. Yeah, go ahead.
Of all times, it should start buffering.
But we have a ton of idiotic questions.
Got to put a black chair.
You just stop interrupting me. Let me finish what I have to do, and then we can move on. We do have a lot of idiotic questions, which is great. But we do have two from Karim Hussein that are actually serious. So, thanks for being a buzzkill, Karim. Anyway, we'll start with the first one. We'll start with the first one, which is well, I mean, come on. We weren't going to make this a serious episode, and he's out there doing serious questions. It's like buzzkill. Anyway, we'll try to get to it, Graham. The first one is from Chris Murray, and I'm sure he didn't mean to make me chuckle, but this question just kind of makes me chuckle a bit. And it's to you, Andy. While you are in your tinkerage, what's your favorite thing to tinker with? Now, the premise of that question, in one respect, could make you go blind. The other could make you grow hair in your palms. But I don't think that's how he meant the question. What I think he meant it in more of a
personal things.
I think he meant it more in the maker's sense. I'm leaving it there. It's innuendo, Mr. Kirkwood. Leave it alone. So, Andy, if you don't. What do you like? What do you like to tinker with when you're on your tinkerage?
That requires both hands. I'm going to extend that. Must have both hands.
It tends to vary quite a lot from wood. So doing things with wood
through to
doing things with electronics and stuff like that. So I don't have a favorite really. Normally it's about what needs fixing. That tends to be the majority of stuff at the moment. Something needs fixing, that's what I have to tinker with.
So it's on whatever's on the to-do list.
Yeah. Yep. To-do list, honey-do list, or kids' do list. Yep. Dad, this is broken. That sort of thing.
When do we get to have our own to-do list? Because I've asked my wife that several times, and I'm not even joking about this. I don't know if I can get this to focus in. I don't know if this will even focus in. This is my to-dos for my wife. And you noticed all the dots below that? That's because when she sees I'm working...
number 3 or number 4 down. Fix the sink.
Fix the mother sink. Yeah. Anyway, but I always intend this to be myself, just so I don't forget things that need to be done. And I always put 5 dots down from that because inevitably she sees that I have this list out and she adds to it. So anyway, all right, Andy, moving on. Quick question for you.
Yep.
And this one is from me. And it's kind of a personal payback for all the questions you've asked me in the past, or us in the past. But it's just, granted, I was, 4 beers into the night when I thought of it, so forgive me if it sounds a little weird. But let me, and each one of you, Jamie, Dale, you can answer this as well. But let's do Andy first. You know how one sense can trigger a physical desire? And by that I mean,
you may want to be careful.
No, come on. This family show. For instance,
so stay with his touch then.
For instance, you smell fresh popcorn, and you automatically get hungry. I mean, do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, all right. Well, your question is like that, and you have 3 possible answers. The question is, what sound, sight, or taste makes you have to go pee? A, the sound of running water. B, the sight of your dog doing its business. Or C,
I'll be right back. I need to go pee.
Or C, the fact you tasted too much beer. Which what?
Easy. Running water.
Running water. Okay. Because we all have different triggers, and I mean, it's like I just thought it was a stupid question. It was one that Andy would pose to us, and so
usually the sound of diabetes for me.
Well, Jamie or Dale,
I've got to. I mean, I'm rewriting the lyrics to the sound of silence now in my head. As you said that. Sound diabetes. No, for me it'd be stale beer. The smell of stale beer makes me want to go.
Jamie, do you want to chime in, or would you rather abstain?
I really don't know, to be honest. I've never even thought about that sort of thing.
Okay, I guess
it probably would be running water, like rain or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or just constant single drips.
Standing by a brook, and you just kind of hear the little trickle, 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 trickle.
Yeah.
Anyway, wait. Hey.
To add a 4th one to the options, Nemo in the chat has said something, and actually that can relate to this as well. When you have something important to do, so sometimes, for example, keeping it to making, I'll come into the tinkerage thinking, right, I'm going to fix something or do something. And I'm just starting to get things ready, and then I kind of I've got to go.
So Mother Nature calls.
Deliberately make sure that I've prepared myself before coming out to the tinkerage.
Is that psychosomatic? Do you think? To prevent you from actually doing whatever it was you were out to do.
I'm lucky, you see. I've got an ensuite in my workshop.
Of course, you do.
You could actually change it to the tinkerage.
Oh wait, no. I mean, it's one of the jobs to add to your to-do list, Andy, is change that sink into perhaps a porcelain telephone, so as you can use it while you're out there.
Yeah, I'd need a step. It's a bit high for me. I'm really short.
You guys have taken an absolutely idiotic question and made it way too serious.
Or you could buy a wet and dry can vac.
Yeah, that could cause serious injury, though.
Catheter is extra. Anyway, okay, here we go. The next series of questions. The next series of questions for you, Mr. Pugh. Look at that. I should be a rapper. Anyway, are questions that you in the past have posed to us.
That's why there's 4 questions.
Yeah. But I'll be honest with you. I was going through some of them and I actually kind of took it easy on you because you've been pretty rough on us in the past. But the first question is from our questionable questions episode. Andy's question to us, and now our question to him is, why is it always the guy who has 2 degrees that asks all the questions?
Because they think they know it all.
But if they know it all, then why would they be asking questions?
Because they want to show off.
Because they want to show off.
Well, I'll tell you.
So what you're saying, right? What we're hearing, right?
Is that I'm a show off? Yeah.
That was a lot more boring than I intended it to be. Okay.
No,
we're done. Moving on. From our Smart Space episode not too long ago, Andy asked the question: is automation like Alexa, Google, a useful thing, or just kind of a shop gimmick?
So happy I've got my speakers.
But going on from that, if your workshop doesn't have some sort of form of automation, what would you start with? So, first question, is it a gimmick? And if it's not, then what would you start with?
I think it's a gimmick because I don't have enough room for it and I can't afford one.
You need a toilet. That's what you need. You need an Alexa-operated toilet in your workshop. That's what you need.
If I need to ask for it, it's not a very good toilet. If I had to start, I would probably have some sort of audio systems that I could listen to Spotify playlists.
Oh, okay. So you could change the music. You listen to music in your shop?
Yeah.
Can't you do that with your PC?
Oh, Dale, shut up.
Yeah.
All right. The third one, and I have to point this out. Andy likes to be cute, and no pun intended towards me, but he does like to be cute sometimes with the words in our titles to ask his questions. So he understands what the topic is, but he takes the title apart and goes, "Oh, I'll ask this just because it's kind of cute." And from our Casting with Jake episode, Andy asks us. And I tell you what, let's turn the tables and just pretend this episode was titled "Casting with Andy." And that is a few of the questions we have for Andy, such as, does Andy like fishing or angling? Casting with it's hey, you ask the question, you answer it, pal.
Yep, I love fish. I've only ever caught 7 fish
in your entire life.
Yep.
Any of those involving the goldfish bowl in the kitchen?
Nope, mostly mackerel. 6 of them were mackerel.
Were you stream fishing, or were you Atlantic fishing?
It was out in the probably not Irish Sea, probably Irish Sea more than the. And it was literally just one of these kind of, as a kid, go out in the back of a boat with a rod. They just take you out with a sonar, and it's like you can't miss.
Well, if you only caught 7, then that should tell you something, Andy. And the other question he had for Jake was, has Andy ever worked in an ER fracture clinic? Get it? Casting, putting a cast on a leg, casting with Jake. So, Andy, have you ever worked in an ER fracture clinic?
No, I haven't. I've been in one once, but not worked in one.
But in all honesty, did you ever think Jake had worked in one?
No, got to find out. That's why we point the questions.
Has Andy ever sat on a sofa in relation to that question?
I've ever what? Say it again.
Ever sat on a sofa?
Sat on a sofa?
You ever cast
casting sofa?
No,
Sat
never been
on it.
that
I
lucky.
like that.
Yeah, never been that lucky.
All right. The next one Andy asked us from our forced discovery episode, which I really liked the topic of that episode. It was things that you were forced to discover that all of a sudden became like clouds part, angels sing kind of thing. Anyway, the question was, the obvious first question is, what tool or material have you found since the lockdown that you thought you had lost? What material or tool have you found since, because this was back when the majority of people were in lockdown, and we will save the commentary beyond that for another day. But have you found a tool or material that you have found that you thought was once gone, or have you just not used your time to rip everything apart and rediscover things yet?
No, I haven't. I haven't done as much making during lockdown as I wanted to have done, for a number of reasons, which I won't go into because it'll take far too long. And I'm pretty good at. I have very good spatial memory. I don't tend not to lose things, and I tend not to forget certain things. I'm hopeless with certain other things memory-wise, like faces and names often.
There you go.
But I'm good with knowing where things are and what I've got. Although sometimes it can be difficult to actually find because I've got too much stuff. So, for example, I had to go hunting for some connectors, and I thought I had some, and in the end, I ended up having to empty a shed in order to look for them, and I didn't find them. So, which probably means I have already given them away or something, and that's the kind of thing I tend to kind of forget who I gave things to.
So what you're saying?
So don't go asking borrowing things.
So what you're saying is that the tinkerage scores very low on the tinkerage scale of organization. You couldn't find these. Is that what I've just heard?
No. What? Fine. The tinkerage is fine. The problem isn't the tinkerage; it's the two storage sheds for all the stuff that I've acquired over the years.
Well, Dale, I'll tell you what I just heard. I heard that rather than to discover things, Andy discovered that he lost things. That's okay. And there's only two more of these questions left, Andy, and I'm telling you, I went easy on you because my friend, and look, he's got that ass-eating grin on his face, and he knows that I could really kill him if I wanted to, but I didn't. Because
you're nice. You're my friend.
Let's not go overboard. All right, Andy, come on. From our scrap time episode, and this goes back a ways. This one goes back a ways. What's the best thing you've made out of something you at first considered to be scrap? And Dale and Jamie, if you guys want to, Jamie, you've answered this question because it was asked on the show. But Dale, if you want to answer it as well, but let's get Andy's answer first. What's the best thing that you've made out of what you consider to be scrap?
See, scrap. I could get into the whole discussion about what actually scrap means. One of my problems is I'm a hoarder, so I've got two sheds down the bottom of the garden, which are full of what could be called scrap, but I tend to more refer to as leftovers.
Okay, let's go with leftovers. Let's go with leftovers.
Best thing I've ever made from leftovers, probably, and this year, just to kind of because it's recent memory, we needed wanted during lockdown. The rest of the family wanted to try and grow some vegetables. Getting hold of timber and supplies and things was going to be tricky with lockdown and going out and not risking kind of deliveries. So we managed to build 1, 2, 3, 4 raised beds just with kind of leftovers that were round and about in the garden. So at the moment, that's my quick answer. You said quick.
Well, no, so leftovers. Let's clarify this, because leftovers could be, I bought 6 6x2s, but ended up only needing 4, so I have 2 left over.
Yep.
So the 2 left over.
But also things like I used. I've got an 8-foot 4x2, and I've got 6 of them, and I've used 7 foot of it, so I've got 6 1-foot lengths of 4x2. I'll keep those. So things like that.
but that's leftover. That's not necessarily
Yeah.
That's not like cutoffs from a project, or because cutoffs from projects are kind of what I consider scraps. But hey, it's
Okay.
it's up to
Yeah.
it's up to interpretation. That's fine. Dale, do you have an answer for that?
Oh, heck. We spent a lot of time building the house, so there was a constant recycling or reusing of all the stuff that came off from the last job. So I think I'll go with the most recent example, which is the desk I'm now sitting at, which is a hybrid salvage some scrap, upcycling piece, which has turned out pretty well. It's an oak blockboard desks, but I'm sitting out right now. That one worked out all right. I'm quite pleased with that one.
Nice. Absolutely awesome. All right, I've got one more question. Then, Jamie, I'm going to turn the questions over to you and to Dale. And then I've got another whole set of questions from John Williams. And before I get into this, and Andy, I don't know what you did to John Williams, but apparently he feels it's payback time. So get ready for that. Get ready for that later on. This one was from our green beer episode, Jamie, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Now, this was obviously a St. Patrick's Day episode. So I'll ask Andy a question here, but after he answers it, then I want to know from him what he thought this question had to do with St. Patrick's Day. Because in case you don't know, Andy asks his questions before we go live, and we got an episode titled "Green Beer for St. Patrick's Day," and Andy asks the following question, which shows just how on Pluto Andy lives. Here, at what point do you retire a tool or project while drinking green beer? That's not what I said. At what point in time do you retire a tool or project?
Oh, crikey. I can't remember what that had to do with St. Patrick's Day. It was probably something to do with the previous.
It doesn't have anything.
Question,
it has to do with the fact that you probably drank a lot of green beer before asking it. So, I mean, I have no clue either. But there you go.
Yeah. To answer the question of when to retire a project or a tool, when it's beyond repair, and stop working, and is no longer decorative or acting as a paperweight. For the project, I don't think I've ever retired a project. There are projects that have never been finished, but I wouldn't call them retired.
So they're on what Richard might call his naughty step.
Or which later list.
On noodles that I'll pass.
You see, Andy, I was the same way as you up until last year, and then I actually made a project, and I looked at it, and it was so bad, I just said no, not even going to bother trying to finish this thing because there's no way to. Because as I'm a woodworker, and as woodworkers, we always tend to find a way to fix our mistakes. There was no fixing this freaking thing. It was just a matter of, and I don't care how creative I got. I ended up, and Jamie knows this, I ended up cutting it up into dice and made a kid's game out of it for Christmas. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Well, Andy, I let you off really easy. I think you know that. So I'll let Jamie and Dale.
Right, so I've got a couple of quick questions. Obviously, times change and people change. So boxers or briefs?
I knew this was going to go up, so I'm going to go for thong.
Right. Okay. Times really do change.
There's a dog out there going, I want to chew on that.
or seasons change, should I say? What season did we have him on last time? Was it winter by any chance? I think he said boxers last time. Right, so...
Oh, yeah, just change it.
In your opinion, what do you think will break the internet?
What would break the internet, in my opinion? Oh, probably the Russians. Oh, that's probably a bit too political, isn't it?
They're probably listening.
Depends if you're on 5G with the Chinese.
I'm saying nothing. I can tell you what we're breaking. I'm just going to shut up.
You're maybe more qualified to answer that question than I am. Yeah, this is supposed to be a family-friendly show, isn't it? So
All right, we'll
Mm.
skip that one then. So, all right. So,
Yeah.
what's in your opinion? What is your most useless talent?
my most
question.
useless talent.
Well, can we answer
Oh,
these too, Jamie?
Yeah, you can
My
answer
most
these as well.
All right.
It's not for everybody.
Because I've definitely got a useless talent. Go ahead.
Oh, crikey, a useless talent. I mean, yeah, I'm just so not useless at anything that having a useless talent. I'm not sure if I can answer that one just quickly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, kind of got to go there.
All right, let's redefine it and say, what talent do you have that will never make you any money?
Ooh.
I can click my jaw, but you probably won't
Go
be
on
able to hear it on the
Go on then.
microphone.
Let's lean in. Let's have it.
So, yeah.
That's
God.
freaky. Don't do that. Lean back.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dale.
You had to ask, Dale. Thank you. Who invited him? Who invited?
Blame Richard. He's not here.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess my biggest useless talent is I know a lot of stupid trivia. You know, it's never going to get me $1, but I've got more stupid trivia clogged up right here than it's just useless. Anyway, but it's there. In case anybody wants to play Trivial Pursuit, let's go. But outside of that, yeah, useless.
Note to self: don't play cute. At Trivial Pursuit.
And that rhymes as well.
I know. We didn't start out that way though. Anyway, yes. So I'd like to ask you a question, Andy. Since you avoided it the last time we had an interaction on this topic, so I'm going to frame it now. So I asked Andy a question that was deliberately intended to make him do some work, but he skillfully avoided it. I'm now going to come at him again with the same question, framing it a bit. Based on your most current Tinkerage sticker, how big is the Tinkerage using that as a base measurement of unit? Come on, son, let's have it.
Out now in the chat, or it's are we looking in 2 dimensions or 3 dimensions?
I would suggest that you should measure it in 3 dimensions. You can leave out the 4th.
Okay, and the thickness of the do we use the thickness of the sticker or the length
your
and
sticker,
breadth?
sir. It's your sticker. You understand this? No, not got it. Bored now. It took too long. Bored now. Moving on. Jamie?
You wanted the answer. I can give you the answer.
Go on.
Go on.
It would be every time just to do the last bit of mathematics. Because we're 2 bit that, so that would be how many that way? So 33 by 30 by about 32.
32 what?
Yeah.
Stickers.
Sticker units.
Okay, go prove it now. Don't know. Lay them out.
That was going to be my whole point. Is like,
that's in the house. You have to go and get them, and it might take ages to. And of course, if you want to go into the fractal length, of course,
Stop it now. Just
I was going to say after he answered this. I mean, I was going to say, now go ahead and try to prove him wrong.
It's all good. We can go there, but not on the show.
On the subject of stickers, if you want to get £20 discount off of stickers,
good
you can go to the podcast
Here we go.
at makersinternationalpodcast.com/stickers and go to the top of this page where it says stickers. And like I said, you get £20 off at checkout. So yeah, there you go.
Then you can fill Andy's workshop with your stickers. And he's he's already given you the amount that you need.
So there you go. And they won't actually post it now, so we actually put your stickers in there, like a bit of wallpaper.
Jamie, do you have any more questions, or Dale, did you have any more?
Nothing would fit into this show. The next one I would ask would have him answering it for a week.
What about where is the worst smelling place you've been to?
Oh, good.
Say that again.
Worst smelling place I've been to.
Yeah.
I can definitely answer that. Many years ago, I did a little bit of contract work with my brother-in-law, who was working in. He was doing kind of electromechanical work for contracting for whoever would take him, and he was given the contract to move a conveyor belt in a potato packing facility, and I still cannot smell rotten potatoes without vomiting. And I have been in places like sewage works. I have been in places like some of the sort of nastier parts of the kind of sort of the medical world where things are pretty stinky. I've been in chemistry labs where things are stinky. And that is by far the worst thing I have ever smelt. It was fine at the start of the day, but having spent kind of 10 or 12 hours in there because as we removed the conveyor units, there were kind of rotten potatoes falling out the side. After 5 or 6 hours of it, it started getting pretty bad. So that is definitely the worst smelling place I have ever been to.
Until you put the toilet, Alexa-operated toilet in the Tinkerage. Then
I've cleaned up toilets. I've done process cleaners. I've cleaned up vomit, all sorts of other things. By far, that potato smell, by far the worst thing.
It's another one. I mean, maybe Chris and Dale can answer this as well. What is both your? Is it like workshop related? Obviously, what's both your best and worst ever purchase?
Cool. That's a tricky question. Recently, my best purchase has been a track saw. It's so much easier than trying to use just a kind of an old-fashioned circular saw and a straight edge. So yeah, for cutting down sheet materials, definitely track saw. And I would recommend anyone to get one if they haven't got one. Worst purchase. Oh, that could be a tricky one. I'm trying to think if I've ever bought anything that's just been utterly and utterly useless. And I can't think of anything. Apart from, actually, yes, but not a Butch purchase, it was actually a present. Was one of those cheap pyrography pens, soldering iron type ones, the ones with kind of little screw tips, to try and do some pyrography. And that is next to use. I'm better off using a soldering iron than trying to use one of those.
Yeah, I often found just getting a cheap soldering iron from Wix's is just as good as using one of them cheap ones.
Yeah.
Well, my worst purchase, and I would have to say, and I don't mean that they aren't used. This wasn't useful. It's just that I never used it. So I mean, that would probably be a worst purchase, right? If you buy something and never use it, then it's kind of worthless. I bought a large biscuit jointer once, but I already had a small biscuit jointer. Because biscuit jointers come and there's biscuits that are, I don't know, 2.5 inches that are long, and then there's a smaller one that they may be an inch long, the biscuits that you're using, and so the jointer that you're using, it varies in size. And I bought a large one, and I never used it because the biscuit jointer is an alignment tool. It's not, it's nothing more than that. And so I always thought I needed the bigger one, but I never used it. I ended up giving it away. Mike now owns that. I gave that to him. So it would be my worst. My best, I would have to say, would be an upgrade. If I can use that as a best, I upgraded my table saw because the one I had was so inaccurate prior to, and I finally went out and spent, and it takes a lot of money. It takes a lot to make me pull money out of my back pocket, but that needed to happen, and that did. So that's probably the best purchase I ever made. Dale?
Oh, tough one. I think I'm going to come at this backwards. I'm going to do the worst purchase first, I think. So there's a few brands out there that we all have that we just know make low-grade stuff. But I bought an Einhell 405 SS scroll saw, my very first scroll saw. And there's lots of cheap ones out there, and there's lots of really good cheap ones. But this thing was from hell. They might have had hell in the name, and they weren't kidding when I bought it. It was dreadful. It was beyond dreadful. It was bought to do a little job, but it got binned so quickly. Dreadful machine. It had more vibration than, now there's normally a joke follows this, but this is a kid show, so we'll back off from that. We'll say it had a lot of vibration. And then that sort of thing, it was like you would vibrate across the top of the table all by itself. It was an awful thing. Best purchase is quite challenging, because you kind of have like the things you think you've had for the longest is kind of where you I find myself heading into, I think, when I answer that question. And I have a Black & Decker 18-volt cordless drill with a NiCad battery that I bought 20 years ago, which I still have, and it still works, and it still does the job that it was bought for. So I guess I'd probably have to go with it, because it's just been the exact right thing to buy. It's always worked. It's never let me down. Boom, that guy.
And it didn't cost you a ton of money.
Well, it did then, but nowadays you can buy them for buttons. But it's been worth its weight in gold since. It's not thousands of pounds; it's just a few $100.
What about you, Jamie? Let's turn that question around on you, my friend.
So for me, I think the worst one for me. It's probably the same sort of thing because of you, really. I never really used it, so it kind of. I don't know if that was the reason why it broke, or just a simple fact that because my workshop leaks, it got too much moisture and ended up basically killing itself. Was a drill press. It basically just seized up and rusted to hell, like almost overnight. You know, I've got it one day. It almost seemed within a week it was rusted up and seized. I tried saving it a couple of times, but no matter what I've done, it just seemed like it didn't want to work. So I'd probably go with that as probably being the worst. My best has got to be the Coronet Herald by a country mile, I'd say.
All right. Well, still have a ton of questions to get through.
I have one serious question I could ask Andy.
Yeah, well,
all right.
Well, go ahead. I've got one serious one from Karam too, because I'm not going to ask both of them. So go ahead. Let's get them out of the way.
So I mean, I'm very lucky to have met Andy last year and kind of understand a little bit about his personal situation. So I guess the question for me, Andy, talking to you, is really about, obviously, with the challenges with your back and your spine, you know, how has that shaped the direction of your making for the future?
Massively. Just for those perhaps who don't know my story, I spent 20 years as a teacher, and in 2017, 2018, I had to give up. I have degenerative disc disease, which mostly affects my lumbar spine. So basically 4 of my lumbar discs are pretty much non-existent. That's mostly as a result of an injury back when I was 24, 25, then compounded with 20 plus years of sitting at a desk for 50 to 70 hours a week, marking and teaching and things like that. So it massively affects things I can do. So as most people get into making, often people get into making because they do things at home with their house, and the same. I've done a kitchen in every house. I've done bathrooms, built out utility rooms. So quite big jobs. Putting up drywall, rewiring, crawling under floorboards. The full gamut of things, and stuff like that. I just can't do anymore. It massively affects. So, for example, until about 2 weeks ago, I had a month where I just couldn't do any making physically because of my back. So even things like leaning over. So I spend a lot of time standing up, and a lot of things that I can do in the tinkerage. The benches are high in the tinkerage, and I do electronics. But even just things like leaning over, looking at components on a board. So no lifting, just that action of leaning over can be difficult, next to impossible, really painful.
Let me ask you a question, because I'm quite in the same spot. Not as far as the degenerative part of my spine, but it's just with age. Because there are things that I was doing when I was 20 and 30 years old that I know, and I have a good knowledge of how to go about doing these things that I frankly cannot do anymore. I just can't do them because physically I'm not able to do them anymore. And does that sadden you, or how do you look at that? Because I've been going through this whole process myself of going through, because I need my house painted, and I worked as a painter going through college, and I know how to paint homes, but I have a 2-story home, and I know with my physical ability right now, there's no way in hell I can get up on a ladder and paint this home. I'm going to have to hire somebody to do it, and that kills me, and not because I'm cheap.
Yeah.
It kills me because I know how to do it, and I could do it back in the day, but I can't do it now, and that pains me. Have you gone through that?
Oh, totally. And there's no denying it. That is hard.
Yeah.
For me, there's the whole thing, because we always, just taking it slightly out of making, we had a family arrangement where I did the employed work, my wife looked after and educated our children, because we home educated. And we had to make a lot of sacrifices to do that. Not having 2 salaries coming in to kind of buy the things that maybe other people do. But that's the choice that we made for our children and our family, personal family. And so even just things like me not being able to go to work and my wife having to take my place is not too dissimilar. It's extremely hard when, things like we've got loose slabs on our patio. Patio's been down a few years, ants have got underneath, so there's several slabs that have now got loose. I know how to fix them, but I also know that fixing them will put me out of action for 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah,
possibly even longer.
It's a
so I there's a bit of me that has now got to a point, and it's coming up for 2 years soon. It's over 2 years since I've been officially off work, but it's kind of close, coming up to almost 3 years since I kind of had to go off work and enter the kind of the sick process.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taken the majority of that time to actually get to a point where I can say, I can't do that, and I'm not going to fret about it anymore, because that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
I can't change it. Maybe something, in 5-10 years time, there'll be a surgery that can be done with a high success rate that will mean that I can return to doing some of those things. I will still have the memory and the ability to do those things, with the physical ability to be able to back up the skills.
Right.
So, it is very, very frustrating at times.
It's difficult to work through, and I don't know if it's an ego.
Difficult to physically do something.
If it's an ego thing or what it is, but not being able to get on that horse when you know how to ride the horse is a real pain. Yeah. And if nobody's ever been through it, then let me just put it this way: it messes with your head, and can continue to do so if you allow it. But I have one more serious question, and I want to move on to John, who wants to ask.
Just interrupt slightly, Chris. There.
Go ahead.
Anyone out in the kind of the chat, or anyone listening to this when it's released out through the audio, if you're going through something similar and you want somebody to talk to about how to maybe approach it, or just somebody who's prepared to listen, who has an understanding of what it's like to not be able to do something, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, various places that you can get hold of me. Reach out, and I'm happy to chat to people.
Myself as well. So contact Andy or contact me, and I'd be happy to discuss it with you, because it's I'm still going through it. Andy's much more well adjusted than I currently am, because this is a new revelation for me. But anyway, one more serious question, and we're gonna get on to more frivolousness, because we have a giveaway to do, and we don't have much time. I think we got maybe 6 minutes at the most. Karam, I'm going to ask one of your questions. I'm not going to ask the other. Sorry. Because there's probably a quick answer to this. Karam asks, how has your life changed since becoming part of the maker community? And I'm assuming he means the online, interaction, that kind of thing. Has it changed?
Finding a community where you know what makers are, and there are other people doing the same thing. Massively. I raised a question earlier. I've kind of thought about this, and absolutely massively. I've known about making. I've known about YouTube makers, kind of on peripheral. I've taught, as we discussed in my last time I was on, taught about kind of education. I was aware of people like Make and Make Magazine and the people around that, and the kind of people who teach about education. But I didn't really at that time know that there were people who kind of talked together and met together like this and chatted. So when I first came off work in 2017, and pretty much I was just laid up on the floor most of the time, to actually then discover, first of all, channels like Jimmy DeResta, like Bob Claggett, and then they talk about, I'm on a podcast, and he discovered podcasts, and discovered Making It, discovered, Make It International, and all these other people, and then discovered that actually there's communities in Facebook and Twitter and Instagram surrounding this, and to find like-minded people, not just in terms of the making, but in terms of how we think about the world. Not necessarily shared politics, because I know there are people with different politics, not necessarily shared kind of faith or anything like that, but just kind of that approach to, I like making things, it's a good thing to do for me, it's a good thing to do for the world. As somebody that's been involved in communities of all sorts, like everyone else since forever, but kind of been involved in quite a lot of communities, I have never found a community like the Maker community, and I think it is one of the most wonderful things that I've come across, and I'm very glad to be part of it.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to ask 2 questions from John Williams. He has 6, but I'm going to pick 2 because I think we can probably squeeze them in before we have to make Jamie sing. Or I should say let Jamie sing, not make, because God knows I don't want him to do it. Anyway, John asks, he says, it's 3 a.m. and you've got the munchies, Andy. What snack are you making?
What snack am I making? There can only be one, can't there? There can only be one. I came prepared. Welsh cakes.
Okay.
French rarebit. Welsh rarebit.
Okay. Next. Why did I know that answer before I was getting to it? Last question: teapot or bag in a mug?
Bag in a mug.
Good man.
What's in here?
Good man.
Bag in a mug.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, that's
so we need to extend a pre or pro-lactarian. You're pre-lactarian or a pro-lactarian?
Neither.
Good Lord.
Lactose intolerant. Don't do it.
Really?
Black.
There we are.
Yep.
You're the first person to be able to avoid that question. Well done, sir.
I take it that has to do with cream in the tea.
Milk in the tea, sir.
Yeah.
Before
you
or
the
after
milk.
the bag?
You put milk in my tea and I'll throw it back at you. No way.
Good Lord.
No way.
In the
No
mug
way.
tea after.
So, and I guess one more
So
question
teapot,
is it raised pinky or is it full grip?
Oh, it's
Well, this
pink.
mug, so you've got to put a finger underneath to support the weight of that. Cool.
Yeah, that's how I do it as well, Andy.
I swear.
Look at that.
I swear. If you're serving it to me in a teacup, Dale, I will do
gotta
that,
be-
and I will be totally unconscious of doing it. It's just I don't know why I do that. It's just yeah.
I say, old man, you got your pinky in there.
Oh, anyway, all right, Jamie. If you want to
before you do it,
shout outs to do.
Before you do your
this thing over
Jimmy's
with.
Page thing, before you do your Jimmy's Page thing, I think you should do it as a barbershop quartet, Jimmy. You should organize everybody to join in with you.
It's not happening. It's not happening. Again, who invited this guy? Who invited this guy? Anyway, all right, Jamie, whatever. And on a 1, 2, 3, and a 4. Go, dude.
Jamie's Page.
Right, so it's giveaway time. And speaking of Jamie's Page,
Oh, Jesus.
right, the question is, first of all, let's run through the prizes first. Like I said earlier, you got a chance of winning a custom podcast tumbler, compliments of Mancrafting. That's basically the exact same cup as what Andy was holding up. You get to win a tub of Yorkshire Grit Original and a tub of Yorkshire Grit Microfine from Glyn at Yorkshire Grit, and some hybrid blanks from Pam at Highland Boxes.
Awesome.
So the question is, and you wait until you get a free hint on this question. So wait until you got the hint before you start answering the question. What episode did I do the first ever Jamie's page?
That's 3 times.
And the hint is we are on 438 right now. So go. You can
So the
start
first person
answering now.
Okay, he's looking for an episode number. You're looking for an episode number, right, Jamie?
Yeah, what episode number? So it's any episode between 1 and 438.
But we're on 438 now, and that's a hint.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, while we're waiting for them.
You know the answer, don't you, Chris?
Oh, of course I do. And Karam said 138. Karam, you are, I believe, incorrect. Jamie, am I correct on that?
Yeah. He's incorrect. Yeah.
All right.
If
Well,
I'll write in the inside chat here what the answer is. So if I'm just in case I miss it. Okay.
Yeah, no one so far.
I don't know how 438 is a hint to that, but okay. But Jamie says it is, so therefore it is.
Someone's been really, really close so far.
Someone has been really close.
And someone's been really close twice.
I feel Emma has gone mad though with 139,000.
Well, let's move on to shout-outs. And that way we can and just understand that if we interrupt you, it's because we have a winner. But I mean, you want to go, Jamie?
Yeah, so my shout out goes to Jake Thompson. He made a resin table, but not just any resin table. He made it with a load of coins in it, and I don't want to say too much about it, but the reason this is my shout out is I sat with Jake in a lot of hangouts, saw a lot of tears. I know what he put into it. So yeah, he really deserves this shout out.
That's awesome.
So yeah, Jake Thompson.
It's a properly awesome table.
Somebody got very close.
Yeah, I saw that.
Andy was close. Andy from AHB Smoke was close, but no cigar there, buddy.
Someone has been very even closer than that.
Yes, they were.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's move on.
Someone
Getting so close.
Oh, Chris, that was close. That was like within a freaking well, I don't want to say that was within a curly hair of where we needed to be.
Yeah, well within 100, wasn't it? Yeah.
And Nat's whisker. It's the same thing to say. Nat's whisker.
Yeah.
Andy, how about your shout out? Let's go with yours. And if we interrupt you, it's because we have a winner.
Okay, my shout out goes to a young man who's currently living in Canada, but he's an American.
Karam.
But I don't hold that against him. He started something through Instagram called Makers on Zoom Hangout, which started kind of with the lockdown across there. Kind of a group of people have got together and just had a really good chat and getting to know each other quite well.
We have a winner?
Yeah, Karam won it.
Karam won it.
Yeah.
Congratulations. It was episode 220.
Yeah.
It was actually our 72nd episode that we ever did. Yes.
Yeah.
How did the hint work? How did the hint work?
Well,
congratulations, Karam.
So just carrying on with Morley. He's an interesting young maker. He's doing a variety of things. He works out of his apartment mostly. So he hasn't got much space, does a lot of leather work. But this, about 4 or 5 days ago, he released a build where he built a stand-up desk, which he could podcast from because he's got a podcast, well, 2. But he also enclosed a 3D printer. And it's just nice kind of, nice to see somebody not focusing on one maker medium. And I think he's got a lot to give to the community, and I think he's going to go on and do a lot of really good things. So Morley Kurt was previously known as Yelom Blog, which is his name backwards, but he's changed that after a chat with Jimmy Dresser. He says he thought about it beforehand, but Jimmy kind of put him straight on that, I think.
Said you're mad.
But yeah,
Make it
Morley
readable.
Kurt.
Awesome. I'll check that out. And all the links to these shout outs will be in the description on Wednesday's re-release of this podcast. But I want to say congratulations to Karam once again. And Karam, I think that, Kuz, get in touch with Jamie. Make sure he has all your infos as far as where things should be sent and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And then
I'll get in contact with the relevant companies. The cup's going to have to come from America because Jake's got them cups at the moment.
So there you go. Anyway, so congratulations to him. Dale?
Mine's isn't Maker related this week, only because I've been paying a lot of attention to these guys over the last few weeks. There's a bunch of guys who go by the name of NASA Spaceflight.com. It was started way back by a bloke from up around who lives up around where Cuz does in the north of England. You know, why this guy, big fan of it. Launched a website. They now cover a whole bunch of SpaceX stuff and all space related stuff. And they're now doing a live show on a Saturday night at 10 p.m. This is a talking heads covering the week's space news. It's really good. The guys are trying to get going. They've already got a pretty good following from the point of view of the subscription, but the show needs folk tuning in. So yeah, those guys, NASA Spaceflight. You see them on YouTube. You get them on the website nasaspaceflight.com. Go and check them out.
Awesome. And they've been tracking the building of the capsule of the new SpaceX rocket that they've been doing. So I've been kind of, because as you know, I'm as much of a freaking rocket
nerd,
space geek, geek as anybody else is. And so yeah, I've been following that as well. But yeah, if you guys get a chance to check them out, please do. My shout out today, boys, is to a gentleman that by the way was on our 39th episode that we ever did for this podcast, and he's a friend of ours from down under, don't you know? Dirk Gibbons, Sumo's project. He started a scrapwood challenge and put out a video on Saturday with all the deets. And for those that are slang inflicted, that means details. Yeah, he put out all the details on that video. So if you want to go back and look at it, I believe it's titled Sumo's Project Scrapwood Challenge 2020. So yeah, give that a look and get involved if you like, because we haven't had a lot of community challenges, recently, and I don't know why that is, but he's kicking one up and he's making some dust. So go give the boy a look, and if you want to get involved, we talked about scrapwood tonight, and so. But I got to tell you, there are some limitations. I think that as of today, you've got 3 weeks to get your project done, and then he wants a video of it. But he doesn't want the video
can't be no longer than 3 minutes.
Yeah, he doesn't want it to be longer than 3 minutes. So it doesn't have to be like a complete build video. I mean, you can do the build video and put that up on your channel as well. But he just wants you describing what you're making, and then show a bit of how you went about doing it, and then show the final project kind of thing that you made out of scrapwood. He just wants to verify that it was made out of scrapwood and not leftover wood in Andy's speak. He wants it to be he wants it to be cut-offs, things of that nature that you're using just to make sure that you're utilizing everything you can in your shop. So if you have a chance, check out Dirk Gibbons, Sumo's Projects on YouTube. He's got a scrapwood challenge, and if you're looking to get involved, then by all means, go for it.
Yeah, he's got a fellow Aussie that I forget what his channel is now. He does the scrapwood, then he goes scrapwood challenge.
Oh, does he really? I'm not familiar, but anyway.
Neil, past mates.
That's it, past mates. Neil.
Past makes, right? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my shout out. So Jamie, and Andy, first of all, thank you for coming on with us today and putting up with us.
My pleasure.
Comparatively speaking, I think that this probably went way too easy on you, but which leads me to believe, there should probably be an evil part 2 to this at some point in the future, because I'm not quite feeling satisfied. But you, my friend, do participate in this show every week, and I want to thank you for that participation, because you've helped us out a lot. So I appreciate it, Andy, very much.
So on that note,
And Dale, we
Graham,
don't
can
care.
you
We don't
please,
care.
Exactly right. I mean, that's exactly the answer. It's without you end completely.
And on that note, Karam, can you please message me on Facebook with your details so I can get that all shipped off to the relevant people so you can claim your prizes. Also,
Very diligent. I'm very impressed.
Next week, Richard should be back with us. If he hasn't got lost somewhere. I'd like to say we'd know what we're talking about, but I'll be lying.
We have ideas, but we don't know for sure.
We have ideas, but we don't know. So yeah, until next week, I'll see you later, everybody.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye now.
Bye.